We officially have a new Captain America, and he is no Steve Rogers. Let's get into it. What's up, my comic comrades? Today we're breaking down Captain America issue 2 so we could talk about the brand new Captain America and super soldier David Colton, who was introduced in issue 1 and is now fighting alongside Steve Rogers against Dr. Doom. So things are getting interesting, but we're curious to know what you guys think in general about Marvel introducing yet another Captain America. Let us know down in the comments. Also, Variant is headed to Cologne, Germany from August 19th through the 22nd for Gamescom. We can't say who invited us out just yet, but it's gonna be a crap ton of fun and we're pretty excited about it. Gamescom is the largest gaming con in the world and it's our first time there. So if there's anything specific you'd like to see us do or cover at the event, drop that in the comments as well. But with that said, let's get into issue 2 of Captain America. The first page of the issue opens with the flashback. As captions say, was this what it felt like the day after Yorktown? The sun beating down on Washington's face, the British defeated, freedom on the wind. We then see a woman on a military vehicle saying, "We about ready to move out, Captain Colton? Base and a hot shower are calling me." Another person with them says, "It would be nice to see my family before sundown." Colton responds, "How are you not celebrating? First Kabul, now Kandahar." Now let's pause for a second. If you read the first issue of Captain America or watched our video on it, you know who David Colton is, as he was introduced in the first issue as a child who witnessed 9/11 and eventually just wanted to join the military to make a positive difference. But he had asthma and just wasn't soldier material, but he didn't give up, and because of his persistence was eventually recognized and given the super soldier serum, eventually becoming the new Captain America. It's all broken down in great detail in the video we did on issue 1 right here. So go watch that if you haven't already. In any case, Captain Colton, or America, tells his fellow soldiers, "Without the Taliban, people are lighter. They're free. Damn it, how do you not love this?" The man replies, "It's good, it is, but your army's been here, what, about 2 months? You've only been here 1. You haven't even fought, just dropped bombs. These cities were freed by Afghans on the ground." Colton replies, "Exactly my point. It took less than a season to bring democracy back, and it came from within. Hey Sarah, got some little ones coming in hot," she says on it as she throws them a bunch of candy. The man then stands up and starts to walk away while saying, "Violence can give you the illusion of victory, but democracy is a much longer road. You understand this place as little as the Soviets did." Colton replies, "You're right, Kasim. You've been here fighting the good fight longer than me, but that just means you've forgotten what it's like to breathe. Go get a shave, man. Let your face feel the breeze for once." He replies, "I happen to like my beard." As narration says, since he was a child, Kasim only lived through civil wars and Soviet incursions. It's all he knew, and he knew it well. A truth I couldn't fathom growing up in Manhattan. That war never truly ends, not while people actually carry its horrors with them. And I still had horrors to accumulate. Decades melted away while I was frozen. The world has changed, telling us 2 things. 1, Kasim is a US ally for the territory, and 2, these narrations are from Steve Rogers' Captain America. The comic then brings us to the present, where we see Steve Rogers is now working with Colton, aka the new Captain America, alongside the 2 commandos. If you didn't read the first issue of this series, you're probably going to be a little lost. Essentially what's going down is Steve Rogers has recently thawed out of ice and is getting used to this new world. He also rejected Iron Man's offer to join the Avengers, as he said before he was frozen he was a military guy and he can't just up and change that. So he's returned to the US military instead of joining the Avengers right away in this continuity. But because he's been frozen all these years, they created a new super soldier, aka David Colton, and again, highly recommend watching the first video to get all the deets. And speaking of important deets, Portland, Oregon's ComicCon is back. That's right, it's time for one of the year's most epic events in geekdom, Rose City Comic-Con. And we're excited to have them back as today's sponsor because it's a crazy fun 3-day event that celebrates comics, anime, gaming, and every fandom in between. This year, Rose City has our boy David Harbour from Thunderbolts and Stranger Things. He's a favorite of ours, so that's dope. But they'll also be hosting casts from Critical Role, Battlestar Galactica, and Hunter x Hunter, just to name a few. Not to mention they've lined up an amazing 40th anniversary Goonies reunion with a bunch of the stars from the movie. That's a must-see. But it's not Comic-Con without comic creators, and Rose City will have some of the best. I'm talking Brian Michael Bendis, Ben Templesmith, Laura Allred, Chris Campana, and a ton more. Plus, as always, Rose City is a family-friendly event with a wide range of options, from a massive show floor and cosplay events to Rose City Junior for the little people. There's also a book fair powered by Powell's Books, as well as tabletop, RPG, and video game play going on all weekend long. And new this year, for those of you on the publishing, distribution, and retailer side of things, they're running a retailer day in partnership with Comics Pro. That part is invite only, but you could sign up to get more info on the Rose City website. It all goes down at the Oregon Convention Center September 5th through the 7th. So grab your badges now at rosecitycomiccon.com or use our link below. All right, now jumping back to the issue, on the next panel, we see Steve Rogers on a plane with his fellow soldiers. And we learn they're going to a city in Doom's country to save hostages. Captions from Rogers go on to say, but I'm almost ashamed to admit that I feel lighter, knowing that I could still exist here with my original purpose. Beating fascists. Does that man who replaced me feel the same way? What's David Colton's mission? Colton then says, warlords dressed as kings all the way down. Remember, Rogers, we're not here to overthrow Von Doom. This is an extraction mission in and out. Rogers says, understood, Major Colton. Colton asks, we're not going to have a problem, are we, Captain? Rogers replies, no, sir. Still getting used to things in this time. I went to sleep in a world of chaos. If we saw an enemy, we took them out. Colton replies, it's still chaos, soldier, but the chaos is kept in check with walls of order spread throughout the world, and we're the walls. As they jump out of the plane, skydiving down to Doom City. Rogers' captions then say, during the war, when I walked into a new country, a new village, I knew to just listen at first. This isn't my home. Let those who live here tell me how I'm needed. I need to just listen now to my superiors, to the people who live lives in this time. Show me the way, Captain America. We then see that Thunderbolt Ross is having trouble communicating to Colton, Rogers, and the rest of the team over comms. Colton is able to get some words through saying, we'll send word once we're back to the extraction point, but the signal blocking will make it impossible to maintain contact once we get closer to town. Steve Rogers then says 10 clicks to the rebels' rendezvous spot. Sunrise in 2 hours. We better move quickly. Colton says, we're good. Satellite shows clear path, no enemy engagements. Captain America then says out loud, satellites, live movies from space, following people. I'm still unpacking this world, Major. It's new definitions of freedom. Colton says, think of it as a twist on an old classic. America now watches everything and carries a big stick. The base we just came from in Romania, we've got hundreds of those all over the world. We watch, we hold the world accountable. And that's all thanks to you and what you did in the war. Rogers says to himself, we won. What I did mattered. So why do those words haunt me? Is this what freedom means now? A world sprinkled with our military might, our eyes always watching? At which point, a Doombot sneaks up behind them saying, Americans, come with me. The commandos with Colton and Rogers say, it's him, and start fighting him as Colton and Rogers both drive their shields into the Doombot. Rogers says, Reed Richards warned me, despite the armor, Doom moves quickly. But of course, the two super soldiers are able to put the Doombot down. But out of nowhere, someone puts a gun to Rogers' head, with Captain America just grabbing the gun out of his hand and throwing the man over his shoulder. As the man looks up at Captain America saying, quiet, with a bunch of men with guns coming out of the woods surrounding all of them. We then get a flashback of David Colton as captions say, something was off about Kasim. He's been translating for us for months now. I didn't want to suspect the worst, but I figured out soon enough that suspecting the worst was part of the job. As we see Colton follow him somewhere, he continues to say, I tracked the phone we gave him. This wasn't his family's neighborhood. Everything was off. I saw a guy who was going to be trouble. Then I heard gunshots. He goes on to say, slow motion. I couldn't make the call. We made peace. I had no orders to engage as he stares at a guy with an assault rifle. The man then opens fire on Colton, which allows him to engage, throwing his shield at the man, knocking him over before killing him with his handgun. We then see Colton make his way to where Kasim's phone is, killing more people along the way. As his captions say, it was my first time alone. No unit. Sweat not from the heat, but from something else. Something was shifting in me, but I still didn't know. I didn't know horror yet. That would come later, but this was a taste. As he finds Kasim shot and dying on the floor in a room, Kasim tells Colton, you shouldn't be here. Colton replies, you shouldn't be here. What is this? Who is he? I've got to call this in. Kasim says, you don't know. Before the Taliban, warlords, this man controlled so much. This warlord killed my sister. If I'm free, then he's free to be who he once was. I'm free. He's free. The vacuum. There's always. And with that, Kasim dies as Colton tries to call the Howlers for backup. We're then brought back to the present where we see Rogers, Colton, and the commandos are brought back to a nice cabin as we learn the man who put a gun to Rogers' head and the people in the woods with him are actually their allies. We also find out this is Marius Wolf, the spy Rogers and gang were sent to find, as he's the only one who knows where the hostages are being held in Latveria, and now they're at his safe house. Wolf then says the area is unmonitored by the army, so you and your crew can relax, Captain. Captains, I have to admit I was just expecting one of you. Rogers then asks, is that robot safe? As there's a Doombot sitting in the corner. Wolf says, the Doombot? Absolutely. It was captured in recent battle and was reprogrammed to fight on the side of our people. We've managed to take the territory from him, convince soldiers to defect. We're winning. Colton says, well, we appreciate the hospitality, but we're on the clock. We need to extract our citizens quickly and quietly. We need one of your men to show us the way to them. In exchange, our superiors will drop a crate of M4s, grenade launchers, and other supplies to help you in your fight. Wolf says those will help us, but not as much as you can. Doom is vulnerable. I have been planning an attack attack, and with your help, we could end his short and terrible reign. And then you could take your people home easier than smuggling them out under cover of night. They could simply walk across the border in a free Latveria. Colton then grabs Wolf and throws him against the wall, saying, "Damn it, this wasn't the deal, Wolf. We're not your toy soldiers." Rogers then says, "Major, let's step outside." Rogers then says, "Colton, let's stay calm and consider the options we have." Colton says, "Options? We're here to do a job. One job. That's what we have the okay for." Rogers says, "I understand, sir, but things change on the ground, and we need to make a call. I'll take on Doom with Marius. You and the commandos can free the hostages. If anything, I'll be a distraction so you can accomplish our goal. And just maybe I can help these people accomplish their goal as well." Colton replies, "You're talking about toppling the leader of a country, Rogers. I know you just woke up, but America is not at war here." Rogers tells him he's broken international law, jailed diplomats, killed his own people, entered America illegally, and endangered our citizens. We may not be at war with Victor Von Doom, but he's at war with us. Let me help these people. Colton then just stares down Rogers before saying, "Must be nice, thinking you can make things better." We then get another flashback of Colton packing up and leaving the war he's currently in on a Humvee as one of his soldiers say, "It's true, shipping us to Iraq next." Turns out they found evidence of WMDs. Another soldier asks, "What does that have to do with us?" The soldier replies, "Damn if I know. Just means we're on a roll, and you don't stop when you're on a roll." As we see Colton looking at the collateral damage as they leave. We're then brought back to the present where we see Colton and the commandos go on the mission they were sent on, while Rogers goes with Wolf to potentially take down Doom. Colton says, "I don't like this," but Rogers says, "It's the best way. Marius and I will head into Doom's castle." Marius then adds, "Which we'll gain access to thanks to our robot friend here." Colton says, "Whatever you do, make it quick. The general is waiting for us at the extraction site, but if this all blows up, he's going to pull out and pretend like he was never here." Rogers says, "Understood." One of the commandos then asks Colton, "This a good idea, boss?" He replies, "Probably not. Guy's a hero, no doubt about that. God knows I looked up to him, but he's lost. A man out of time. We can't let him drag us down while he figures the world out." From here, we see Rogers go with Wolf and the Doombot as they make their way into Doom's castle. Once inside, Wolf says, "I can't believe it," as he sees Doom eating alone at a table. Wolf, Rogers, and the Doombot then look down at him from the rafters they snuck into, while Marius then pulls out a gun as Cap says to himself, "Marius is in his time, about to make his moment. He doesn't need me here at all. He doesn't. Damn it." David's voice is in my head. This isn't a mission. Cold blood, an assassination. It's not the way a country moves forward. And as Wolf sets his sights on Doom, ready to snipe him, Rogers grabs the rifle saying, "Stop. We take him before court." Wolf says, "The hell?" Rogers says, "This isn't justice," as the Doombot turns on them and starts attacking them saying, "It's not. At least, not yet." The Doombot then electrocutes both of them, sending them crashing to the floor below. Captain America's captions say, "My ears are a siren." The robot says something, but I can't make it out. Too easy. A trap. I've endangered the hostages. The mission. Nothing like this from my time. Speed, power, force, as the Doombot lays into Rogers. Rogers continues to say, "I'm trapped here. A man with a metal disc, a young man made old by the future, but too damn stupid to stay down." The Doombot then brings Rogers to the real Doom while saying, "It would be my pleasure to dispose of this American trash." But the real Doom says, "No, wait. This man, the rumors out of New York, they appear to be true. Steve Rogers, the original Captain America, scourge of Adolf Hitler." Doom then puts his hand out to Rogers saying, "Victor Von Doom and the nation of Latveria welcome you as a hero." And just like that, the issue ends. Yes, this is a great Captain America series. I love how we're dealing with Captain America acclimating to the modern political climate while simultaneously contrasting his beliefs with David Colton's, who's clearly being set up to be a more cynical version of Captain America. It seems like Colton's not going to be a full-on evil Captain America or villain, but again, just a more jaded version of the character. Zdarsky is yet again killing it, and I can't wait to see where this title goes. But there you have it, friends, Captain America issue 2 and the full reveal of the new shield-wielding super soldier. So what do you guys think of David Colton as the new Captain America and how he contrasts from Steve Rogers' Captain America? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Other than that, we'll see you next time when we talk about all things comics.